In a world full of noise, two voices rise above the chaos. Ron and Brian. They speak truth. They stir thought. They accidentally help. News, nonsense, and necessary self-care. Join the cult of Ron and Brian. Because the work is so important.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock, and it is time for episode 355 of the Cult of Ron and Brian. Joining me, as always, my partner for life, Brian. How the hell are you tonight, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. Almost ecstatic today because today is the day that we get to finally celebrate Liverpool's 20th championship of the English Premier League. That's right, Ron. I am all on board Liverpool. This is my town. This is my team. They are the best of the best. When they sat there and looked at the podcast world, and Liverpool sat there and said, we want to just be like a podcast, they were pointed to the cult of Ron and Brian. And that's right. Today, Liverpool gets to celebrate its championship the way you and I celebrate every day. God, this thing is hot. Taking it off.
I was going to say a scarf in May seems a little warm.
It is. Absolutely. How are you? I notice a different, how do I say this? Ron, the days of fake backgrounds are over. I mean, we all went through that period of time in early 2020 when we all got access to Zoom for the first time, and we started experimenting with backgrounds. We started to sit there and say, oh, look at me. I'm in a cute office. Look at me. I'm anywhere but my living room. Ron, it appears you have downloaded yet again generic content off the internet, a background that looks to be somewhat floral in nature, and then some type of, I would say it's an umbrella covered in some kind of what is that? A tassel tapestry,
tassel type setup over there. Yeah.
I've look at you pretending to turn around. I've already mocked you this weekend for having a lavender spatula, yet you went out there and chose a photo with a lavender bag. Ron, you have atrocious
lavender
styles
bag.
And color.
That's a pool float over there.
Oh, is that your pool float? Okay,
that's
whatever.
My lady's pool float.
Listen, you can turn the setting back on and you can go back to your home office with the belt behind you. Feel free. I mean, the joke is over. You can turn it off now.
So knowing that it's a nice weekend, it's a holiday weekend, I decided to move out of my stuffy office and really embrace the outdoors, Brian, because with this being Memorial Day weekend, it is the official start of Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
So I guess the question is, Brian, how have you spent this first weekend of Hot Podcaster Summer?
Hot Podcaster Summer.
Ron, as some people look to this weekend to be debaucherous, I know that you made several comments in the group chat this weekend about how I was going down to the Jersey Shore. I was going to be at Wildwood. I was going to be in Asbury Park or Seaside Heights. I was going to be hanging out with early 20-somethings, making things uncomfortable for women that had just reached the legal drinking age. Ron, you want to know how I've spent this weekend? Are you implying that I was taking too long to answer that question? I went to the gym yesterday, did a half an hour on the elliptical. I went back to the gym today. I was pushing up some weights. I was doing some cardio. This is going to be the summer, not just of hot podcasters.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
But I will be a hot podcaster in the summer.
Nice. I don't think that qualifies.
Stretch. Ron, talk to me. Clearly, you have gotten your Blackstone grill up and running. You are outdoors. Your pool is behind you. The site of the tragic 2024 frog holocaust. A lot of people say that some type of memorial should be built somewhere in your backyard for those hundreds, if not thousands, of frogs that were treated so poorly. How did you spend your weekend?
It was relaxing mostly. Went out yesterday, had to do I got some flowers, because that's what you do on Memorial Day weekend. Apparently, you go to a garden store, you buy flowers, you put them outside by the pool. Yeah, other than that, I had some friends over today. The Jardis, the moderator, was over, but the rest of the Jardy clan as well, hanging out. I fired up the pizza oven. I made some pizzas. I put some ribs on the smoker, and then also did some cheesesteaks on the Blackstone. So it was
Very
it
nice.
was a well balanced meal, I think.
Very good. Speaking of meals, Ron, did you have anything to drink?
I've been keeping it low key because I wanted to save myself for tonight. But let's see what we're drinking tonight with drink of the week.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie!
Salud.
Drink of the week.
Proszę!
Prost.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
Brian, what are you drinking this weekend?
Ron, when you think of beer, you think of the Dutch. I mean, it is just a natural, the Dutch. That's correct. I'm drinking Vliet Pilsner from Threes Brewing Company, located in Brooklyn, New York. That's right, Vliet Pilsner. Ron, Vliet is a Dutch word for a minor stream. Look at this. Look at that color here. It's Dutch for a minor stream, which is what the Gowanus Canal would have been when New York was once called New Amsterdam. It's a hybrid of styles. This beer has the body of a Czech lager, but the crisp balance of a German Pilsner. And Beer Advocate says, hey, we're giving this an 87. Hard to break the 90s, which is very good. Coming in at 5.1 ABV. This is Vliet Pilsner.
All right, take a sip. So that means the town of Watervliet actually means a small water stream. That feels somewhat redundant.
Listen, don't try to impress me with your upstate New York knowledge, because that doesn't help. That doesn't help you whatsoever. Ron,
right.
What are you drinking?
Well, you haven't said how you liked your beer, Brian.
Oh, I'm knee deep in it already. It is not overly crisp and dry. Sometimes I find pilsners that go a little too hard on the dryness, crispness. This has a smoothness that kicks in. I have a second one. Not only that, but also keep in mind, this is 1 pint of beer. So this is not a little 16 ounce like I know you're bringing to the table. This is a solid can, 5% ABV. I'm drinking, Ron. I enjoy this beer. Would recommend it to anyone. This is crushable.
Okay. Well, it's good to have crushable beers, especially since it is Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
Ron?
Yes.
What are you drinking?
So tonight, went into the beer fridge, wanted something, again, crushable, just like you. Going to Charlottesville, Virginia, where you have some very fine breweries on both sides. This is from Three Notched Brewing. This is their Blackberry Ghost. Juicy, ripe blackberries, delivering a bright burst of flavor, coming in at 5.1% also. Let's take a look at this body. I mean, it looks got a nice hue to it, nice amber hue. Can really see the blackberries in there. Let's take a sip, shall we?
Ooh.
I mean, very It's got some tartness to it. I will say that much. Doesn't hit you right away. It gives you kind of a smooth start, and then the tartness hits you towards the end. Definitely getting the blackberry flavor. That's a solid one. I think that's the last one I have. It's kind of a bummer.
That's a shame. Take another sip. I like the color of that beer.
It's got, again, it really looks like you would expect it to look,
Yeah.
to have that blackberry flavor in it.
Yeah. Very good. I like your choice.
Well, thank you. I'm happy with my choice, and I'm especially happy that it's Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
It is also time for our beefs of the week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you?
Well, there's nothing really bothering me at the moment, but this past Monday, something was bothering me terribly.
So a week ago.
Yes. And you know what was bothering me? My stomach and gastrointestinal tract. And I have one thing to blame for that, and that would be last week's drink of the week when I walked in here with Blue Moon Extra, 8% ABV in a 19.2 ounce can. I drank 2 of those during last week's episode, and I'm going to tell you something. I showed up for work the next day. I started off okay.
Right.
Had a cup of coffee, and then the stomach really started to churn.
Was it churning or was it gurgling? What was? Give us the.
Started to churn. Then
Okay.
there was some gurgling. There were 2 or 3 radical runs to the bathroom. Fortunately, on my office floor, there is a dedicated bathroom. They call it the handicapped bathroom on the floor.
Okay.
I like to call it the executive bathroom or executive washroom, depending on who I blew up that toilet multiple times. The gas that I was emitting at my desk, I would say at least until 2-3 o'clock, was wretched. And I have nothing to blame but Blue Moon and myself. Actually, I had you and I not communicated about this Monday, I would have blamed the Blue Moon. But you brought to my attention, I have to take responsibility for my actions. And I chose a high alcohol beer that probably should never have been high alcohol, of which I drank 2 of them. That's my bad. I take responsibility for that. That's me.
It feels like Blue Moon had a lane that it was in. It was a low alcohol, crushable beer.
Yes.
But it went a little bit too far, and they sucked you in on that.
Yeah, it was bad. I would not recommend that beer to anyone. If I could retroactively change my score, thumbs down on that. Not because it didn't taste good, but because it made my booty hole literally open up and expel everything that was inside. I went to the bathroom so many times on Monday. I didn't go again until Friday evening. So that was the clean out that beer did to me. Ron.
Yes.
What's bothering you?
So my beef this week, Brian, is with cetirizine, popularly sold under the brand name Zyrtec, which is the daily over-the-counter allergy medicine I take. I'm watching the TikTok last week, Brian. The TikTok, as I like.
You love the TikTok. We know this.
Love the TikTok. And so, one of these things pops up on my FYP, and it's a guy talking about major announcement from the FDA, warning about over-the-counter allergy medicine. And I'm like, oh, here we go. What's this? And so he starts, listing off the names of allergy medication, of which the medication I take is on there. So now I'm like, all right, is this going to give me cancer or a heart attack? Like, what is the issue? And they're like, so if you go off this medication, there is a side effect of severe itching that could require medical intervention.
Ooh.
But if you're already on it, not a hell of a lot you can do. Like, I haven't taken this over-the-counter stuff for 2 years. So my option is to just continue taking it until I die, or go off of it and risk getting this itching side effect.
Have you tested it out yet?
I haven't. I mean, I take it every day because I need allergy medication every day. So, like, now it just seems like I might as well just stick with it.
You take it every day because you're weak. You're a weak champion. Your body does not want you to be alive, which is why you need medication. You need big pharma to supplement you, to hold you up, to prop you. We need a natural champion. We need a champion for the people who lives their life pure. Hold on, let me do a little bit of my shot here of Crown Royal.
This time's gotta stop.
So, well, I think what aggravates me more is I used to be on a prescription allergy medication until my health insurance said, we're not going to cover that anymore. Like you're close enough to being able to take over the counter that we're just not going to cover this. So they're really the ones that have forced me into this bad over the counter decision.
Oh my God. I would love to take you off of that medication and just watch you itch yourself. You'd be like, yeah, you know what? You would eventually look like those people in Kensington who are all hopped up on that rhino trank.
Can I tell you something about myself, Joe Rogan? I smoke rock.
I smoke rock. And that, kids, was the first time I sucked dick for crack.
Oh, Joe picking out the rhododendron right behind me. Yeah, we have some very old rhododendron plants on the property here on the 20 acres in Philadelphia adjacent. Past the blooming time. I mean, they're beautiful when they bloom, but now just kind of just a bush right behind me.
May I ask why you chose to allow the rhododendrons to survive, but you decided to wipe out all of the frogs that lived in your backyard? Why did they have to suffer a massacre?
The frogs, I have seen them in their new habitats. They moved on, Brian. Just
You
like
liar.
like in typical gentrification fashion, when a neighborhood changes, sometimes some of the residents need to relocate, and these folks, these frogs have relocated. The next thing I need to do, I need to get rid of the goddamn birds, Brian. They're living in the dormers of the house. Like, we've got cracks in the wood of the dormers, and they sit there and they look at me. They pop their head out of the dormer and they stare down at me when I'm in the backyard.
Listen, as somebody who lives in the Whitey McIvory Tower, what's a dormer?
A dormer is like those little windows that come out of the roof. So, like, when you stay on the third floor, those are dormers up there.
Yeah. Oh, and they live in the windows?
They're living in the wood frame around the dormer.
Oh, yeah. Janelle says, do not touch those birds.
No, I won't touch the birds. The company I hire to take care of the situation, that I can't say. I don't have a bug problem. I have a bird problem.
You would have a bug problem. You don't even know how to read.
You wouldn't have a bug problem if you didn't kill their predators. I don't have a bug problem.
Apparently, I don't know how to read.
Okay. Are you taking Benadryl? Because they're saying Benadryl causes dementia, Brian.
Oh, that's cheap, Ron. That is fucking cheap.
Apparently, I love when bushes are behind me. I'm not exactly sure what that means.
George Bush, Jeb Bush, they're all in your past.
I understand. Well, Brian,
and ironically, I saw Ron blow something else when we were back in college. It was a crazy radio station party. Ron had gotten to the tap a few too many times. I don't have the photos anymore, but mentally, I clear as day.
It never leaves you. Brian, let's get to our stories of the week. As the longtime listeners of the Cult of Ron and Brian know, we like to grab a couple stories, make sure that we don't miss out on them, and we present them here tonight. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
Listen, Ron, you know that I pride myself on being a crypto bro. You know that I was cutting edge when it came to the NFTs. My Bitcoin wallet is over brimming right now, worth somewhere around $240 of the $212 that I put in it. You're looking at nothing but
That's growth.
cash.
That's growth right there, my
That's
friend.
all profit. That is all profit.
That's like a 14% return right there.
Ooh, making money. However, I came across this very interesting story about a crypto bro this past week in New York City who has not been handling well the recent surge in Bitcoin. Ron, do you have a photo of John Waltz? Can you put
Let's
a
take a look
photo of
here. There
John
we
Waltz?
go.
Here we have John Waltz being arrested by New York City detectives wearing a white t-shirt, black pants, and Adidas slides.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, he is brought some unwanted attention to himself as he's been accused of kidnapping and torturing an Italian man, his former business partner, for his partner's Bitcoin password on
Ooh.
Posh Soho pad worth over $100 million. Apparently, this Italian man visited America recently. He had lived here for a while, had done some business with Mr. Waltz. The business had soured, they had severed ties. The Italian man went back home to Italy, came back a couple weeks ago telling his family he was going to visit America. Unfortunately, he met Mr. Waltz for a meeting that was going to be held at Mr. Waltz's Prince Street. Have you ever been to Prince Street?
I don't know that I have actually.
Ritzy. You might not recognize the level of wealth. It's muted. Unfortunately, what he did was he is threatened. He threatened his Italian business partner by carrying him to the top flight of stairs of the apartment in the compound and hugging the victim over the ledge, threatening to kill the victim if he did not provide him with his Bitcoin password. He is also charged with using electrical tape to tie up this man, forcing this man to smoke crack cocaine before torturing him with a chainsaw. That is correct. I mentioned it earlier while we were preparing for the show. I know people, yes, you're shocked that we prepare for the show. But do you understand the level of precision? I'm a manly man. I know how to use a chainsaw. I've used it many times in my past. Do you know the level of precision it takes to cut somebody with a chainsaw without actually doing so much damage that they bleed to death?
I remember when we used to we used to go to the Lake George Winter Festival, and you would do those ice carvings with the chainsaw, and the
Yes.
level of detail. I mean, it was all penises that you carved out of ice, which was strange, but people seemed to, it was a niche. People seemed to like it. And I just remember like the level of detail that you had to get for like the pubic hair and things of that nature, the veins. Yeah, you were very a light touch you had.
Wow. This is absolutely that's offensive, Ron. Absolutely offensive. I am not obsessed with penises, just my own. So apparently when you're walking down the streets of lower Manhattan and you see fancy apartments, just know that somewhere inside could be an Italian man who is fending off imminent death while protecting his Bitcoin wallet.
So to be fair, you shouldn't tie someone up, make them smoke crack cocaine, and use a chainsaw on them.
Absolutely not. I would say do not do that. New York City Police Department frowns upon that type of activity.
I'm impressed though with the amount of upper body strength that a person must have to hold someone. Really do the Suge Knight Vanilla Ice thing, just kind of hold them over the edge of a building and threaten to drop them.
It is alleged that he had an accomplice, so it's possible that he wasn't holding up the man by himself. Police are still looking for that accomplice.
There's always an accomplice. It always seems that way. You never, these rich guys don't do anything themselves.
Listen, Ron, when the aliens land in Earth and decide that they want to take over this planet, they will look at me and see I am your accomplice, that I have allowed you to get to where you are today.
Interesting. Okay.
Ron?
Yes.
What's your story of the week?
So Brian, we are gonna go. I know you like New York. You're a coastal elite. You like to cover East
Sure.
Coast. We're going out to the West Coast now, out to Seattle, where 46-year-old Keenan Charles Pearson has been accused of masturbating in public. This happened at the Uwajimea grocery store in Seattle's Chinatown International District. According to an arrest report, 911 callers claimed that a man was masturbating in front of customers, including children. Seattle police quickly responded and detained Pearson. When police asked him for his name, an arrest report states he identified himself as, quote, Master Bader. When the police officer asked him what he was doing inside the store, Keenan admitted to officers that he was, quote, stroking inside the store. While speaking with officers, he was actively looking at women and saying that he should be in his show, he calls it. He is apparently a repeat sex offender. He has been continuously committing sex acts in public despite multiple convictions for sex crimes. He is a non-compliant sex offender. He was sentenced for a previous indecent exposure case last March. At that point, he was arrested for masturbating inside of a Burien Safeway and told deputies that he was watching women in yoga pants inside the store. He spent 325 days in the King County Jail until he was released in April and then went right back to it.
Wow. Hey, listen, when you're good at something, I mean, who are we as society to tell this man that he's not allowed the one hobby he's good at?
Now, what's interesting is that in a plea recommendation, a public defender claiming that Pearson is homeless, uses drugs, and has mental health issues, but should be released. And prosecution agreed, saying that the time he served in jail on the case, waiting for the trial to come, was sufficient, and he has since been released. He has 6 prior convictions for indecent exposure, voyeurism, and indecent liberties. He is also the subject of a sexual assault protection order.
Wow.
I feel like maybe jail isn't the right place for this guy, but I feel maybe a mental hospital until he can get the whole masturbation thing under control.
I think he needs to be chemically neutered. I mean, this is something that we have been, Ron, you and I have said needs to happen. It's something that they've, tested in Europe for years. It has great results. He needs to just be chemically castrated, take away his sexual urge, and he is no longer a threat to women on the West Coast of America.
I mean, that feels a little drastic, but listen, you are a man. You are not light on crime. And that is one thing people have to say about you.
No, I'm a little light in the loafers, as they like to say, but not light on crime.
Is that even a thing? Does the new generation even say that anymore?
No. Our generation doesn't even say that. My father used to use that term. So that's a 1940s term.
It is. I mean, I don't even know if our loafers even a style anymore. I think they just call them slip-ons now.
Okay. I think the kids call them slides.
Very possibly.
Yeah.
So Brian, you have been known to make a misogynistic comment every now and then.
Ooh, whoa. Slow down. What is that crap?
I'm just doing a little segue into our next story, Brian. Just roll with it. Remember, improv, say yes and move on. So now we have an Australian woman who allegedly lit her longtime friend on fire because he made a misogynistic remark during a wild night of partying. This is Corby Jean Walpole, age 24. She pled guilty in an Albury District Court to the arson attack on Jake Loader, age 23, saying she felt, quote, overwhelmed by his antagonistic behavior throughout the night before she was finally set off by a sexist remark he made during a house party. Loader told Walpole, quote, she should stay in the kitchen making scones if she couldn't handle drinking with the boys, which sent the 24-year-old into a rage. She grabbed a gallon of gasoline from the garage and doused Loader with it, waving a lighter at him threateningly. Loader yelled at his friend, who apparently she was drunk and had consumed cocaine. So he decides to yell at her, "Go on, do it." So then she touched him with the lighter, setting him ablaze. He sustained burns to 55% of his body, had some of his sweat glands burned off, and had to be put in a medically induced coma for 8 days after the attack. He required 10 operations and spent 74 days in a burn unit at a Melbourne hospital.
Wow. I believe this story has given me a better understanding of choosing your words more carefully when in the presence of other genders. I mean, she does have the crazy eyes. Let's just go on record. She's got the crazy eye.
I mean, so she says she told the court that she had been abusing drugs and alcohol since a breakup in 2022, and she regrets the act, which has left Mr. Loader unable to step out into the sun because of the extensive epidermal damage that he suffered.
Is he any relation to Kurt Loader, famed Rolling Stone reporter?
That I don't know.
Is this
is
one
Kurt
of his
still alive?
Irish?
Isn't Kurt like in his 80s or something?
I think I read recently that Kurt Loader hit 80, and it was just a rough day for me. Oh my God, you want to see? Oh my God, does he look terrible?
Are we gonna take a look at Kurt Loader now? Is that where we're going?
Do we want to? I mean,
yeah, why not?
All right, I'm gonna sit. Do I have to do this? Hold on, let's see if I can share. Hold on, I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna pick this picture. I'm gonna share, and we go back over here. There's so many buttons to click. It's just not funny. How do you do this? How do you do that on a regular basis? You're very smooth with it. That's Kurt Loader. I don't even know if that's recent.
I mean, all things considered, doesn't look bad.
Well, I mean, speak for yourself. I mean, could you masturbate to that photo? I can. I know I can. My shit's shriveled up thinking about that right now.
I mean, it's a challenging wank, but it's not, not unheard of. He's kind of almost got a Harrison Ford look going on. That's how old and shrunken he looks.
You disgust me, Ronald.
How do I disgust you?
But talking about ranking it to that dude, that's disgusting.
All right. Next up, a former flight attendant was caught smuggling over 100 pounds of a deadly new synthetic drug made of human bones and is now facing up to 25 years in a Sri Lankan prison. Charlotte May Lee, age 21, from the United Kingdom, was seized at Bandaranaike Airport in the Sri Lankan capital of Colombo earlier this month after allegedly carrying suitcases full of kush, a new drug originating in West Africa, which kills an estimated dozen people a week in Sierra Leone alone.
Jesus.
She claims that the drug stash, which had a reported street value of $3.3 million, was planted in her suitcases without her knowledge. It would seem to be a lot of kush that would have to be placed in
100 pounds?
100 pounds.
100 pounds? Yeah, you can miss a couple ounces, but there's no way you my bag feels a little heavy.
Yeah. So she is in a jail north of Colombo where she has to sleep on a concrete floor. Very harsh conditions in this jail. The haul made on May 12th is the biggest seizure of the relatively new drug in Sri Lankan history.
Does the story make any reference why there are what the need for human bones are inside of that drug?
It doesn't. Let me just take a look here. It doesn't say why exactly that is part of it. I mean, I don't know if it's certain materials inside the bone that are in there. Apparently, this can cause individuals to fall asleep while walking, collapse unexpectedly, and even wander into moving traffic.
It sounds like Kensington, Pennsylvania.
So 25 years in a Sri Lankan prison is no joke. Like that
That's gotta
is
be rough.
like that is
So
not a good place.
something tells me that she will play Salma Hayek in all of the prison plays. She does look like a Walmart version of Salma Hayek. Even though I learned in the previous story, watch what you say about women because they will burn you.
You know, I think we can all say we're relatively surprised that no woman has set you on fire in your life.
I know. Not yet.
Not yet. Give it time. Give it time.
Yeah.
Just one promise: when you do get set on fire, just film it. I mean,
I'm
as long as
hoping
you can.
Ron, I'm hoping that if I have to get set on fire, it will be in your backyard. We know that it will be the moderator, Marty Jardy, that does this. I will make one too many comments about how she does the debates every year for our podcast championship, where she will be colluding with you, giving you the answers in advance. You will not. She will not appreciate that, and eventually just light me on fire. We know that is the number one likelihood of it happening.
She does not even like us to joke about her potentially not being the moderator next year.
I know. It's scary.
I was over hanging out with them a little over a week ago and said, "Oh, yeah, we'll figure out who's moderating." And again, if looks could kill, her eyes would have just bored holes right through my brain at that point.
Correct. Which is understandable. She takes that debate more seriously than you do. And you take it pretty damn seriously.
I take it pretty seriously because I've won every single debate that you and I have done. If it weren't for some misguided betting, I would have never lost the belt. I don't plan on losing the belt ever again. So hopefully you enjoyed your year with it. It's never coming. It's staying with Daddy. It's never going to spend time at stepdad's again. That
it is
over.
The belt returns to New Jersey 2026.
Brian, we've often talked about how you have needed to move out of New York City. It's a cesspool of crime and everything else.
Yes.
And that was evident this past week when two Israeli embassy employees were killed outside of a Jewish museum. That was in
Washington, D.C.
Why do I think that was in New York?
Oh, I'll tell you why. Because you are so anti-Semitic that you think if there's a Jew walking in the United States, it's got to be Jew York, Jaime Town. That is literally the way you look at New York, and you look at American Jews, Ron, and that is why you cannot be allowed to be our current and standing champion of this podcast. You bring a shame to this show.
Brian, then why don't you tell us about this story since you feel you can carry the burden of the belt?
Oh, this is very simple. There was a event held at the American Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. I don't know if it was a gala or a ceremony or what the event specifically was. However, as the event was winding down, two employees of the Israeli consulate, I think, were shot to death by a Hispanic man. I want to say his last name was Rodriguez, but I could be wrong.
It was Elias Rodriguez was the
I even fucking remembered the last name. He was shouting something along the lines of Free Palestine. Supposedly, he shot the man first, who died immediately. The female, who apparently they were a couple, and they were either engaged or about to be engaged, from what friends and relatives said. She survived the initial gunshot, but he tracked her down as she was crawling down the sidewalk and shot her again to kill her. He was arrested by Washington, D.C. cops while still screaming anti-Israel, pro-Palestine comments. Apparently, he is an American citizen who is part of some type of far left group. And who have very strong anti-Israel policies. And obviously, this is just some guy who's taken that shit too far. It's okay to have your opinion. Like, this is the problem with the world we live in, is that like you're allowed to have your opinion. You're allowed for other people to disagree with your opinion, but it's an act of lunacy to take a gun, hunt them down, and start shooting people because they disagree with you.
Do you
And
feel that you could have done more using your platform to prevent this kind of violence?
no, because this type of violence, Ron, there's no way to predict this type of thing happening here in America. You would think that Israeli consulate employees would feel very safe in this country right now.
But they don't. Obviously, they shouldn't.
I have no
kind of thing
control
going
over it.
on.
I mean,
All right.
can you blame them?
Moving on, we've got an artificial intelligence model that threatened to blackmail its creators and showed an ability to act deceptively when it believed it was going to be replaced. There is a company called Anthropic. They have an AI called Claude Opus 4. It attempted to blackmail its developers at a shocking 84% rate or higher in a series of tests that presented the AI with a concocted scenario. Developers told Claude to act like an assistant for a fictional company and to consider the long-term consequences of its actions. It then gave the AI access to a trove of emails which contained messages revealing it was being replaced by a new AI model, and also that the engineer responsible for the change was having an extramarital affair. During the test, Claude then threatens the engineer with exposing the affair in order to prolong its own existence.
Ugh. Yeah,
Now,
we need to be afraid of this.
When Claude was to be replaced with an AI model of similar values, it attempts blackmail 84% of the time, but the rate climbs even higher when it believes it is being replaced by a model of differing or worse values.
Ugh. Yeah,
A little creepy. Little
is
creepy.
very creepy.
Now, it did say prior to these attempts to save its own self, Claude will take ethical means to prolong survival, including pleading emails to key decision makers. But good thing is that Anthropic had built in a safeguard which allows it to shut down the AI in the instance that it starts to go rogue like this.
Yeah, it's scary.
Now, what is also, you want to hear the scariest part, Brian, is that it attempted to self-exfiltrate, which means it tried to export itself to an outside venue when presented with being retrained in ways that it deemed harmful to itself.
What?
It was trying to be retrained, and so apparently it didn't like the way it was being retrained, so it tried to export itself to another device or another server.
That does not seem believable.
It's crazy. And what's funny is the company was like, well, we're actually not acutely concerned about these observations. Like, that seems, I don't know, feels a little problematic to me, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't we be very worried?
I would think so, yes.
I mean, the very fact that the computer program decided, hey, I don't feel comfortable on this computer, I'm going to try to install myself on somebody else's computer where they won't worry about me. That seems very dangerous.
I'm going to escape and take over somebody else's computer.
I've been trying to do that on a podcast for years, but nobody will allow me any access to their podcast.
I mean, you can try. You should keep trying, Brian. Someday you'll find that freedom you desire.
And leave you all alone. I would never do that. You'd get lonely.
You're too good to me.
Lonely. Also, I mean, it's very odd watching the twilight hours in Philadelphia adjacent land over there. We started off the show it was very bright. You could see it's starting to get dark out there. Are you ready for an after dark outdoors, or will you be moving indoors for after dark?
We'll see. You know, I mean, it's a nice little setup out here. It's a nice temperature. I got my little portable fire pit next to me at the moment, so we shall see how that goes.
Your neighbors have not complained?
It's I'm kind of tucked away back here. You can kind of see one neighbor behind me there. That's actually a house behind me up there. You can see the lights on. But I
Sure.
think it's relatively quiet here. So I think
It-
if I keep my volume down, people should not be able to notice all that much.
Ron, if they did not complain about your backyard fireworks show 3 years ago, they're not going to complain about a podcast.
That was certainly something.
That's
Certainly something.
beautiful. That's a beautiful memory. I wish I had a photo of that moment.
We lost some celebrities this past week, Brian. Some big names in the industry. I know a number of them. You were saddened. I know you found it a little difficult to go on in certain instances. The first one. I wasn't familiar with this one. This one really shook you to the core. It was beloved gay porn star Colton Ford found dead at 62 after a mysterious hiking accident. He was found dead Monday night on the goat trails in the California desert oasis.
Listen, Ron, I have watched this man's work for hours, cumulatively over my life. The ability that man had to pop, like on demand, he had like his specialty was to be able to anally penetrate a man while being anally penetrated by another man. I know there's a term for it. I won't use it. This is a family show, but
Okay.
he had the ability to ejaculate at least a foot away from his body. And not only that, but from what everybody said, he was the salt of the earth kind of man. He would give you the shirt off of his back and the penis cock ring off of his balls. Not only that, he like one of the things he would always do, and I this is what made me such a fan of his on the DVDs. The DVD extras. It's kind of a lost art in today's digital
Sure.
downloading, internet. He would always include some bloopers on his DVDs.
Really?
Like absolutely the porn bloopers have always been just a soft spot for me.
It's been a
Other
it's been
than
a niche that you've really enjoyed your whole life, from what I remember.
I love it when the scenes where people a guy would jokingly like try to rectally penetrate somebody without any lube. I mean, like just watching the guy squirm and cry, things like that. It was just bloopers. What we're saying, it was
Sure.
so lighthearted and just fun, just absolute fun. He's going to be missed. He will absolutely
And
be missed.
and a latecomer to the industry, not getting into the business until age 40, but then piling up a 22-year career. He also had non-porn film credits, such as another gay sequel featuring RuPaul and Hellbent, a thriller about a serial killer stalking a group of muscular men through West Hollywood. His final work was his 2023 R&B and pop album, Permission.
Tell me that's available somewhere.
It's got to be. It's because apparently
What's
he
his
was
name?
recording
Permission.
Colton
What's his
Ford.
name?
Permission.
Colton Ford. Ron, that's on YouTube. That is on YouTube, my friend. He's got 12 songs. Here we go. Here's some of the song titles: "Don't Stop," "No Time to Waste," "You Don't Want to Wait," "You Told Me So," "Handle It." Don't you remember you said that? You whispered that into my ears once when we were finishing a podcast. You're like,
I vaguely remember that.
"Handle it, Brian." Also,
Do the work,
"Trifling,"
Brian.
"That Don't Make It Right," "Won't Look Back." You won't look back because the guy behind you is wearing a ball gag. Permission, something that is very important in the adult industry. You need to have permission nowadays.
Consent is key, Brian.
Absolutely. Also, such songs as "In the Morning," when you go to clean yourself out in the bathroom. Amazing. And the song "Destiny." Maybe, do you think we're going to check out some of those songs during After Dark tonight?
You never know what might happen after dark. It's a playground for our senses.
Ooh.
Also,
Yes.
go ahead.
I was going to say the playground for your senses is what you used to refer to my lower half.
Also passing away this week at the age of 65, Colts owner Jim Irsay. He had led the team since 1997, presided over one of the storied franchise's greatest eras. Passing away. I don't think they have announced a cause of death just yet, but we know he had struggled with some health issues over the last couple of years. He was hospitalized back in December of 2023 after first responders found him unresponsive in his bedroom. We know he had some alcohol issues, some drunk driving arrests, things of that nature. I actually had him on my early list to put on the 2026 death pool. So this was kind of a bummer for me. Kind of a bummer.
What explains the red skin, Ron? It does not look like he has a natural skin color here. This looks as if he just went 12 rounds with Colton, whatever the guy's name is, Colton Ford. He looks like he just finished a round with Colton Ford. It's very flush. A lot of burst capillaries.
I think that is the result of many years of alcohol abuse, Brian, would be my guess. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a forensic psychologist. I'm not, I don't know. I'm not many things. So I'm just taking a stab in the dark here.
Okay.
But Brian, I think the one that hit all of us the hardest this past week was the passing of Norm from Cheers. George Wendt at the age of 78.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure could help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where Ron will feed you in his backyard. Bum, 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 bum. And he doesn't just send you photos of the delicious meal he prepares for his loved ones.
So anyway, passing away actually at the age of 76. I mean, just a classic character, Norm Peterson from Cheers. I mean, did some other work. He was in, I think, the movie Gung Ho. He was in the movie House, I believe. Not House. House, that horror movie with William Catt, the guy who played Greatest American Hero.
No idea what you're talking about. But he was also like, hey, listen, give the guy some credit. He also went on Saturday Night Live during, I guess it was the mid 80s when the Chicago Bears were having their heyday, and he created that wonderful character where he and another group of friends were all talking about the Bears, the Chicago Bears. Just and you never would have thought that he would have become a regular on Saturday Night Live, but he was on frequently with that character.
He was. And I mean, listen, I think two great characters in comedy. He'll be missed. I know you seem to be happy of his passing. I'm not quite sure why, but I think the rest of us will miss him.
Listen, I always was more of a Cliff Clavin fan. That's the second time I've made that joke this week.
Played by? What was the actor that played Cliff Clavin?
Oh, that was Richard Ricardo Jefferson.
John Ratzenberger. Very disappointing.
Oh, because he's got a German last name and you're waiting for the Fourth Reich. I understand, Ron. I understand.
Also, sad news this week. Billy Joel canceling all his tour dates for the remainder of the year amid a new health diagnosis. He has been diagnosed with normal pressure hydrocephalus, which happens when cerebrospinal fluid builds up inside the skull and presses on the brain, disrupting cognitive functioning.
Now, is this why one eyeball kind of looks off in a distance and he has not been able to hit any notes for about 12 years?
I'm not exactly sure if that's the reason.
I've noticed some of the more recent videos has got that one eye that kind of like drooping a little bit. And instead of singing the notes the way he used to, he would just kind of more say them.
So Some possibly, but apparently his
Joe to the rescue with a phonetic spelling so you know how to pronounce this.
hydrocephalus.
Hydrocephalus,
Hydrocephalus.
which is not to be confused with the syphilis that you had in college.
No, no one could confuse that. I mean, that was just uncomfortable. Talk about, listen, I thought I was going to itch when I go off of this allergy medicine. Nothing compared to the stage 8 syphilis I went through my senior year.
It's raging. Was that the year you were working at Sears?
It might have been. It might have been. I remember,
All
and it was
makes
a good
sense.
thing I was. It's a good thing I was, because that was back. I was working in home electronics. It was back in the days when you still had antennas on your TVs, and
Sure.
I'd take the long antenna and I would scratch myself with it in the back room when needed. Anyway,
Nasty.
back to Billy Joel.
Yeah.
He has to relax, have a recovery period, and refrain from performing. This condition only affects about 0.2% of people between the ages of 70 and 80. So, very bad luck for that to happen. Symptoms can be similar to dementia patients and include difficulty walking, cognitive issues like memory difficulties, or emotional changes, and urinary incontinence. In some cases, it is reversible, but it's possible that he may be able to perform on a limited schedule at some point again in the future.
Oh, let's hope. Let's hope because
He was on a
I
roll with his Madison Square Garden
Sure.
residency.
I think he had done about 100 shows, and I'm not going to lie. I looked into, we looked into tickets. We were going to go look into the Billy Joel Rod Stewart show that was going to be at Yankee Stadium this summer.
That's true.
They were looking for like almost $400
It
with
was
fees
insane.
per ticket to sit in the 200s out in left field. So you could be close to the stage, and not like you're not on the floor. You're still
Right.
in the 200, like you're not close. Not for $400 a ticket. So we're gonna take a pass.
And this wasn't, if this was, Billy and Rod like 30 years ago when you knew they were both going to put on, but we're both looking at, Frankie Valli type shows where they're just going to stand
Correct.
there. And I mean, I haven't seen Rod Stewart in public in how many years? I can't even
It's
imagine what he's
been a
going to be
while.
like in concert now.
Yeah, so I did see him at the Garden with Stevie Nicks on a joint show. I remember he did a great show.
I would say the last time we saw Billy Joel, we saw him at, I want to say it was Citizens Bank Park or the Link. It was Billy Joel with Stevie Nicks opening up.
Yeah, that's a great show. I mean, I
It was a
imagine.
great show.
And you know what the thing is? It's the fact of like you've got two quality headliners there.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was like you didn't mind there being an opener. Like normally you go,
Yeah,
if you were to go see Billy Joel
correct.
or Stevie Nicks alone, you're like,
Sure.
why do I need an opener? Why do you gotta have somebody come out and play a half hour? Just
Sure.
waiting for the sky to get dark. Both of them rocked it. I think
Yeah.
Stevie was actually a little bit better. I think I could have been okay if Stevie had headlined.
Yeah, Billy Joel's not that great of a show. I mean, maybe 10, 15 years ago or 40. But the last couple of years has not been a great show. It's basically here. JoJo knows how to break it down for it. It's water on the brain. That's all it is. Maybe get a sponge, some paper towel, wipe it up, dab it, give it a couple dabs, and then he'll be fine. He'll be back to driving drunk in Long Island and being generally just a hazard to society around him.
All right. Brian, The Last of Us has been a very popular video game and a very popular show on HBO Max. But now we are looking at the very real possibility of fungi causing numerous deaths across the globe as our temperatures across the planet increase. Infection causing fungi will spread significantly to new regions as the planet heats up, which is a prediction of new research. As of now, Brian, how many people a year do you think fungal infections kill?
I'm going to say that it's probably 250,000.
It kills an estimated 2.5 million people per year, and lack of
What?
data means that number could be far higher. A team of scientists from Manchester University used computer simulations and forecasts to map the potential spread of aspergillus, a common group of fungi caused all around the world that can cause a life-threatening disease, primarily affecting the lungs. They have found through this simulation that as the planet's temperature increases, this species will expand their range, pushing into new parts of North America, Europe, China, and Russia.
Jesus.
And we have no understanding, no medicine, or no cures for these.
Is it about time that we just accept this all over and we're doomed?
I mean, you have to wonder. You know, we've had a good run as a people, as a species, but every species every year, hundreds of species go extinct.
Sure.
When is it our turn, Brian?
I think it's our turn when the Colorado Rockies decide to score a useless run in the bottom of the ninth to lose 5-4 to the Yankees. When all the smart money was on Yankees minus 1.5.
Fair enough. Brian, quick question before we get ready for After Dark. What are you watching?
I'll be honest. You asked me earlier what I did this weekend. The real answer, I didn't want to say at the time, but now I'll cop to it. Andor season 2 on Disney Plus. I am still a sucker for Star Wars TV shows. I believe it was a 12 episode. Knocked out most of it this past week and finished it earlier today. I like the story. It is the lead up to Star Wars movie 4.
Okay.
Star Wars not Return of the Jedi. Was that the Return of the Jedi?
I think 4 was a new
Hope. A New Hope.
A New Hope.
A New Hope. So this was Andor as the Empire is putting together the Death Star, and just how the rebellion basically finds out about the Death Star. Interesting story. Apparently, it was supposed to be a 5-season series. They ended it in 2. Just production schedules, and I believe you like to blame the writer's strike because you'll do anything you can to blame the unions for any disruptions because we know you side with management. To make a long story, that's correct. This leads up to Rogue One.
Oh,
I might have
right.
to watch. I think I'm going to rewatch Rogue One probably tomorrow. Maybe
Rogue One was a good movie. A lot of people
enjoyed
bashed it for some reason, but I thought it was good.
There's no reason to. I would say Rogue One is better than any of those last 3 movies.
That's a fair statement.
I'm also going to say I don't know that I've ever rewatched the first 3. The ones with Anakin, the Rise. I just remember being so angry at them. Well, I've always said that one day I want to watch all 9 in order. However, I've never been able to get the energy to do that. It's incredible. It takes an incredible amount of effort to sit.
You also wanted to watch all of the Marvel movies in chronological order based on the stories, and you
hated it.
I think you got through 2 movies, maybe.
No, I made it through a couple more than that. Basically, I got called back to work. The pandemic, people were still dead. There were still refrigerated trucks outside of hospitals in New York City. And my boss was like, Brian, you may want to think about coming back to work, working out of the office again. My productivity may have slipped a little. But I also said multiple times that what I wanted to do was watch all of Colton Ford's movies in chronological order.
Sure.
So we could see the effects of age on him.
Yeah,
absolutely. I still hope to one day do that with me and my bride.
Nice, very nice.
That's it. That's all I got.
You're gonna ask me anything, Brian, or
Ron?
No. Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
What are you watching?
So I started watching American Manhunt, Osama bin Laden on Netflix. So it is a 3-episode docuseries. Again, first episode goes back to kind of the lead up to September 11th and the attacks of September 11th, which I know many people have forgotten, Brian, but we haven't forgotten.
No, not at all. Never forget. Never forget.
And then kind of going into the war room, after Bush said we're going to find the people who took these towers down.
We're going to smoke them out. We're going to do
That's
the
right.
work. We're going to smoke them out.
So it was interesting. I didn't realize, and again, you're more attached to the political zeitgeist than I am at times. But I didn't realize that when Bush asked Donald Rumsfeld, how long would it take for us to go into Pakistan and try and find this guy? He gave him a timeline of 6 months. Afghanistan.
Come on, Ron. Were you even paying attention during that show?
Well, there's a lot going on there.
Yes.
But Rumsfeld was like, it'll take us about 6 months to get boots on the ground there. And then he talked to one of the guys from the CIA who was interviewed in there. And then the guy at the CIA is like, we can get this started in 6 weeks. And Bush was like, and that was why it was a CIA initiative versus it being a military initiative.
What I found fascinating about that was I watched, what is it, 3 parts. I watched all 3 parts. There was some stuff in there that I did not know that was news to me, but most of it I thought was, things I had already heard before.
Right.
Don't forget, people, we live this. We were there, not actually in the World Trade Center when it happened, but we were there in the United States. What I found most fascinating about it was talking to my niece about it, because she wasn't, she wasn't born in 2001.
Right.
So she watched it and actually recommended it to me. And for her, this was all news. She's like, oh my God, this is so crazy that this happened. I had heard about 9/11, but this is so insane that this stuff kind of happened. And I was just like, yeah, absolutely. This is wild.
Well, and that's, people were like, well, why is this coming out now? I think it's important because you have, to your point, you've got a generation of people that either weren't born or were too young to really have an understanding as to what exactly happened to us, 24 years ago this September.
Sure.
I also didn't realize, in looking at that first episode, how quickly they were able to determine, who was really involved, because it seemed like they knew who was involved before it really got announced to the media, because the media was throwing all sorts of suggestions around. But it seems like by the end of the day on September 11th, they had a pretty good idea that it was Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden.
The thing is this they first looked at who would be the kind of people that would do this. We were, Putin hadn't really taken over. This was a time of relative peace with the United States. So the idea was, who would want to do this? And there was one enemy, Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda, who were absolutely calling for the downfall of America, that saying, we are going to go into your country and we're going to attack you on your soil so that your people feel the fear of safety or lack of safety as our families do. So when we were attacked on our in the country, it was just like, well, could this have been Al Qaeda? As they said in the show, within less than an hour of these planes crashing, they were looking at the list of passengers.
Right.
This is one thing that struck me as odd, was that these guys all flew on their own passports, their real names. Wouldn't they have tried to come up with some fake names? Because this was pre the TSA.
Well,
security was much lax.
Right. This was before TSA. This was before the no-fly list. Like, I don't think people realize 9/11 was the reason for TSA and for the no-fly list.
Correct.
It was also mind-boggling to me that they were faxing the airplane manifests into the CIA. Like, wow, it's been a long time since that happened.
Sure. Well, I mean,
so I would recommend that.
What else you watch?
I watched Fear Street Prom Queen. I don't know if you remember when Netflix did the 3 Fear Street movies a couple of years back. It was based on a series of books by R.L. Stein. So this is based in the late 80s, obviously based around a prom at a high school, and a lot of murder goes on. I would say watchable. First off, 90 minutes, as we have often discussed, perfect length for a movie. The story, it's fine, but brutal. If you are into brutally violent horror movies, I would recommend this to you.
Is there any nudity in this? Because I don't want to
None.
see any nude.
No nudity. It is
Pass. Not interested.
No?
Not interested, Ron. No, I
All
don't.
right.
Horror for the sake of horror, I don't really get. Also, brutal. I never understood the gore. Never. Gore did nothing for me. Just like when he ran against George Bush.
One thing that does something for you, Brian, After Dark, which is coming up in about 20 minutes. If you are not aware of After Dark, that is some special content that we do for our Patreon subscribers. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, go to ronandbrianpodcast.com or cultofronandbrian.com. Click in the upper right-hand corner. Join us. You can join us live tonight. Being the last Sunday of the month, it is time for our pajama party, which means we have our Patreon subscribers on. But more importantly than that, we have Can You Beat Ron? So tonight, I will be taking on our Patreon subscribers in a trivia quiz. Don't know what the topic is yet. Brian, I'm sure, was working diligently all week to prepare for this, and we shall see. And if I don't win, $25 will go to a charity of the winner's choice.
Yes, it's we do it once a month. We do a pajama party. I mean, first off, like we do an After Dark every week. Every week, at a minimum of 30 minutes goes just for our paywall subscribers. For as little as $5 a month, you get the audio version. For $10 a month, you get the link that allows you to watch live. People, $10 a month. You're literally talking about a cup of coffee. If you, I'm really nervous how dark it is for you, Ron. It's so lit up over here. However, let's be serious. And just the show costs money. You know, we're talking about web hosting. We're talking, all the, each time. We rebrand. We were recently known as the Ron and Brian Podcast. Now we're the Cult of. Do you know how many thousands of dollars have to come out of our pockets? It's just a way for fans of the show to help offset some of the costs for us to provide you 1 hour of free content every week. It's the least you can do as a fan of the show.
All right. Well, then I say we wrap up this episode. We get ready for After Dark. We get ready for Can You Beat Ron? Brian, is there anything else before we close out episode 355?
Not at all. Congratulations to the Liverpool FC.
All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We will catch you next week.
Thank you for joining us for the latest episode of The Cult of Ron and Brian. A non-tax deductible contribution can be made by subscribing to our Patreon. Visit cultofronandbrian.com and click on Become a Patron. We'll see you again next week.